So the first rule is neither the king nor the rook has previously moved in the game. So let's look at this situation. If you look at white pieces, you can see that this rook has already moved from its original square. So that is why if the white wants to castle in the game, he cannot do castling with this rook because this rook has already moved in the game. So then the only option left for the white king is to castle kingside. Similarly, as you can see here in the black's position, the black king has moved from its original place. So, because the king has moved from its original place, he has lost the right to castle in the game. And therefore, this king cannot do castling at all. Even if it goes back to its original position, even then, now he cannot do any castling because the king has already moved once in the game. So, he has lost the right to castle. Let's look at rule number 2. There are no pieces between the king and the rook. So as you can see here, there is a knight sitting here which is blocking the way of the king, and that is why white cannot do kingside castling. So he will have to do queenside castling. If white wants to do kingside castling, then first he will have to remove his knight from this place, and then only in the next turn he will be able to do kingside castling. So let's do queenside castling for white. And now black cannot do queenside castling, and the reason is that his path is blocked by the black bishop. So right now he is eligible to do only kingside castling, but black doesn't want to do kingside castling. Then what should he do? Well, he should clear his path for the queenside castling. So he can move his bishop, and then in the next turn, let's say white develops this knight, and now it is black's turn, and now black can do queenside castling. So rule number 3 is you have to make sure that the king is not currently in check. So in this example, black decides to check the white king with his queen. So can the king castle now? Well, no, because the rule says the king cannot be in check when he needs to castle. So what should white do? Well, if white decides to move his king, then he will lose the right to castle in the game. So another option here for white is to block this check by playing c3. Now queen will have to move from that place, and now because the king is no longer in check and the king did not move in the game even once, he can now castle in the game either kingside or queenside. Let's do queenside castling. Now let's look at the last rule, and that is the king does not pass through or finish on a square that is attacked by an enemy piece. So look at this example. Here it is black's turn to move, and black wants to castle his king to the queen side, but he cannot do so because when he does queenside castling, he will be passing through a square which is attacked by its enemy piece. As you can see, this dark square bishop is controlling this square, and if black decides to castle queenside, the king will have to pass through this square, and that is not allowed in the game. Just think of it as this way, as you know that the king is the most important chess piece in the game, and if you let your king pass through a square which is controlled by an enemy piece, that enemy piece can attack your king whenever your king decides to pass through that square, right? And you would lose your king in that way, correct? So that is why such a move is not allowed in the game. The king is not allowed to pass through a square which is controlled by the enemy piece. Because this square is controlled by this dark square bishop, king cannot castle on the queen side. So the only safe option available for the black king is to castle king side. Let's look at this example to understand the other part of the rule, and that is the king cannot land up in a check after the castling move. So here in this case it is white's turn to move, but if the white king decides to castle queenside, then the king would land up in a check by the black queen because this square is controlled by the black queen, and since such kind of castling would allow black queen to capture the white king, hence such a move is not allowed in the game. Similarly, if you look on the king side, the white king cannot castle on the king side either, and that's because you can see that this particular square is being controlled by the black queen. So if the king castles king side, then he would land up in a check by the queen, and since such a move is not allowed, so here in this case the white king is stuck in the center of the board and he is not able to castle either kingside or the queenside. Today's question is very simple. Can this black king castle in the game? Comment with a yes or a no, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.